Art is dead, and I killed it. That's called a hook. It's one of the thousands of little retention techniques that content creators like me use to keep people like you engaged. Stay tuned to the end of the video to find out the most insidious one. Maybe that hook didn't work though. So let's talk about something else actually. What's going on in pop culture? They made a He-Man movie? You probably knew that. You're probably aware of the fact that they did this. The movie people. The people who make movies we watch? No, not the old He-Man movie, a new one. You must have heard of this. It seems likely that you would have. What seems unlikely to me is that you, or anyone, anywhere, would be excited, would want to watch and enjoy the film. And I don't just mean because it looks bad, though, to be clear, it certainly does. It looks very bland and overcooked. I haven't seen the movie. I'm not reviewing it. And I don't just mean because Jared Leto's in the cast. He's in things sometimes. He's the herpes of Hollywood. There is no cure. You can only manage the symptoms. I mean, intrinsically, as a thing. A Masters of the Universe movie in 2026? That is inscrutable to me. Who asked for this? Who cares? I understand that there is, in theory, a marketable demographic of people who might have had some nostalgic fondness for He-Man and or the Masters of the Universe. I furthermore understand that this franchise has continued and expanded on and off for the past 40 years or so. Dopey guys with walls of collectibles will say that it looks quote-unquote epic, or that it looks woke or whatever, depending on whether they want to like it. We've covered all of this in the past.
I'm not against race swapping characters all the time.
Sure,
I want
seems
to be
like
very
you
clear
are
about that. And I'm not against that. My thing is like, look, we've got Clamp Champ. Why the hell aren't you making him a main character? Why
are you ignoring Clamp Champ? Why didn't they just make this guy the hero of the show? Look how strong he is. This guy's cool. I like this guy.
The great hero Clam Champ has had a place of honor in my background ever since, but ironically I didn't notice until getting this little B-roll that he had fallen over. Clamp Champ has fallen because of woke. Perhaps 10 years ago, there would have been some genuine excitement for this. Not just because most of the people already familiar with the franchise would be still alive, but because back then, it was still an interesting novelty to see old children's media interpreted as serious action movies. But it's 2026. We've seen that stuff. We've seen all of the stuff we liked as kids already adapted into movies. It's not surprising anymore. It's expected. Pardon me if I sound cynical, but I don't think that this is like a story someone was burning to tell. They have interpreted the He-Man mythos, which was already extremely shallow, in the least interesting way that one could. There is nothing here other than nostalgia, and I'm not sure if that nostalgia matters anymore. Like, who is this movie for? I'm one of the very few people old and brain damaged enough to have actually watched this Stone Age cartoon when it aired, and I certainly don't give a shit. Does Gen Z think He-Man is based? I was certain He-Man was Unk. I guess I should explain to the youngs. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was an American cartoon series which premiered in 1983 about the adventures of a man who was very strong and his friends who were likewise strong in variously toyetic ways. The characters would ride their trademark vehicles, use their trademark weapons, and go to lots of landscapes with potential play features. The show, you might be surprised to learn, was produced to promote a toy line of the same name. It is the example of a television show designed merely to sell toys. The toy line itself wasn't even original. It was conceived as a line of Conan the Barbarian toys, and then hastily reworked into a generic space fantasy when they couldn't get the Conan license. At its core, the Masters of the Universe is a group of characters that all have suspiciously similar body shapes in order to save time molding new dolls, each with their own play gimmick. Maybe one of them stinks or has a big fist and fists really well. Then, working backwards, fictional lore and world building was hastily cobbled together at the last minute. All of this was possible because just 2 years prior, then American President and Lord of the Pit, Ronald Reagan, appointed Mark Fowler as head of the FTC, who oversaw the complete deregulation of laws regarding advertising to children on television. Fowler argued that televisions were just another appliance. It's a toaster with pictures.
Should someone have to have a government-issued license to drive a car?
Hell no.
What's next? Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster?
In addition to being such a dismal view of the medium of television and the artistic merit of television programming, it's also just such a dumb argument. Because like in this analogy, right, the TV is the toaster. That makes the TV shows the bread. So are you saying we shouldn't regulate the contents of bread. We don't need to do that because a toaster is very simple to operate, and therefore one should expect that the bread is full of who knows what, and it might have glass in it, and that's fine. Is that your analogy? Children's programming, which at the time, due to the tireless activism of groups like ACT, had previously been characterized by educational and enriching content, gave way to an onslaught of stimulating but ultimately vacuous toy commercials. G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, Transformers, Mask, Rainbow Bright, Thundercats. All were designed as toys first, and stories, including Saturday morning cartoons, were commissioned after the fact to promote sales of those toys. They are not made to communicate something, not to entertain. They are made to sell something. Fast forward 40 years, and that pattern of cynical extraction now manifests in gruesome AI-generated videos of pregnant cat people shitting themselves to death. Mark Fowler is smiling up at us from hell. He's not dead, but he worked for the devil, so I just assume he spends a lot of time there. This movie is a reboot of a commercial for a toy conceived as a means to profit off of an unrelated property. It is hard to imagine something more crass and commercialist than that. We're like 50 layers deep on the simulacra and simulation here. On what level does any of this reflect anything real at this point? What are we trying to say with this film? Does it matter? Will having an emotionally affecting story arc sell more collectible Castle Grayskull and or Skeletor popcorn buckets, which Collider reports are shaping up to be the coolest popcorn buckets of 2026 so far? Well, yeah, probably it would. People would want to buy more merchandise if they were emotionally invested in the story. But that's not my point. My point is that all of this movie, it is technically art. Nothing about it is outside the definition of art, but something about it feels perverse to me. Like, this isn't a movie. This is content. This is a lifeless, dead thing kept moving to distract you from the emptiness at its center. It is distinct from AI slop with Subway Surfer footage overlaid to keep your attention, only in terms of the skill of execution, not in its intrinsic value. And I say all of this, but it's also like, it is half an inch away from shit I do like and consume with two O's. I'm excited for them to shovel a new Spider-Man movie into my fat gullet. I have never enjoyed a Spider-Man movie, except Spider-Verse, obviously. I'm not that much of a contrarian. I don't think I can seriously make the claim that my distaste for this crass commercialist He-Man movie is principled, when I am standing up hooting and hollering for the crass commercialist Spider-Man movie that I'm almost guaranteed to hate, but will pay money to see anyway. Did you know that he can shoot a web? Not only that, but that web can be of any size? I'd like to see that on the big screen. Am I stupid? Am I a stupid idiot person? Am I 11 years old? When the romantic poet and painter William Blake was 4 years old, he beheld the face of God pressing against his window in a beatific vision. Blake's works often invoke biblical imagery, but recontextualized to suit his own grand ad hoc mystical framework. I wonder, if the heavens were to open themselves to me, to reveal the beauty and infinitude of creation, would I look upon this and say to myself, this is just like my beloved Superman comic books? Would I demand a Lego set of the monad? My first introduction to William Blake, likely yours as well, was his most famous poem, The Tiger, which is a metaphysical description of the cruelties of nature and how they are simultaneously beautiful, destructive, and necessary. The Tiger comes from Blake's Songs of Experience, the corollary to a poem in his previous collection, The Songs of Innocence, called The Lamb, which I only read while writing this portion of the video, because my enjoyment of Blake's work is markedly superficial. I enjoy the grandiosity of it, the spooky, mystical sense that Blake had received magic wisdom from the cosmos, and some dark part of me wants to impress people by pretending to be more invested in Blake's work than I actually am, but I don't, maybe can't, engage with Blake's work the way he would have wanted. My introduction to the poetry of William Blake came from a frankly middling episode of Batman the Animated Series where Catwoman becomes a literal Catwoman. Roughly a third of the audience has now clicked off this video to go watch and or masturbate to that. I'm not trying to make the argument that this shit or shit like it are intrinsically devoid of artistic merit. I might have facetiously said that earlier in the video. I don't actually think that. I probably should be making that argument, but in my heart of hearts, I don't believe that. All of these properties are occasionally elevated by the efforts of the hundreds of talented writers and artists who were hired to breathe life into them. The He-Man cartoon that I demonized for being just a toy commercial was one of the first gigs of a young J. Michael Straczynski, whose later comic book work, incidentally, is the major inspiration for the new Spider-Man movie, but, they'll definitely get it wrong. They can never make a good Spider-Man movie. Just as I'm sure there are probably thousands of talented artists wasting their precious lives on this new Masters of the Universe movie. There are things to like within all of this. There are cathedrals everywhere for those with eyes to see. You're not stupid or shallow if you like these things. I hope not, because I like these things, and I'm not sure I should, but I do. I wonder if the reason I like these things is because I've been conditioned to like them. If my brain was hijacked at the right age with no regard for how it might affect my development and coerced into forming an appetite for this type of mental junk food, and often literal junk food as well. Does any of it actually appeal to me, or have I just been convinced that it does by marketing to such an extent that I can no longer tell the difference? Has my imagination been so thoroughly colonized? And for that matter, which would be worse? That I like juvenile, violent power fantasies because I was primed to like them? Or that I'm just like that, naturally? Sure, I might rationalize all of it to myself by pretending there's some hidden depth to the childish genre fiction I'm so obsessed with, but all of that is simply an excuse to indulge in mindless consumerist masturbation. Sometimes literal masturbation. It's fine for adults to like childish things, naturally. It's fine for an adult to watch and enjoy a children's movie or read a YA book or whatever, but increasingly, I do feel like, at least for me, my entire media diet is for little babies. Some of it might have content not appropriate for babies, but very seldomly do I feel like any of it engages with like a mature idea, like something that resonates with me as an adult on emotional levels. And I wonder, would I even recognize them if they did? My generation are known for our arrested development. Millennials never grew up. We love to complain about how we were robbed of all the traditional ways that someone transitions into adulthood. Getting a job, buying a house, having children, getting really into model trains, having an affair, all completely out of reach to us. Our entry into grown-up life was sabotaged at every turn by economic and political factors beyond our control. Lacking agency over our lives has rendered us psychologically incapable of accepting responsibility for those lives. Whereas later generations saw the writing on the wall, millennials like me generally expected to, at some point, be okay? Eventually, like everything's going to be fine eventually, right? Because it always has been, right? Right? Later generations saw us and realized from the jump, they're fucked. So if they don't suffer from that particular delusion, they are free to become adults. Millennials thus internalized our perceived failures with a retreat from adulthood, becoming perpetual children. We like superheroes and video games and cartoons, and we're Disney adults, and we can't give up Harry Potter for some fucking reason, and it's all valid, Queen. It's so valid. It's self-care, actually. It's self-care that I only read genre fiction. It's self-care that I'm 40 years old, and I'm staying awake until 5 a.m. playing Noida and listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl an audiobook because I can't face the fact that it's been months and I haven't made a fucking video, and I don't know what I'm gonna make a fucking video about it. I'm not just gonna make a fucking journal entry about my feelings about He-Man or some shit. People will say that they enjoyed a piece of media because they turned their brain off. And they say that not as a criticism, but they say it as a compliment. They say it to defend shit they like from the criticism that it is mindless spectacle. Yes, it is mindless spectacle, but we must meet this work on its terms. We must view it from the lens of intentionally mindless spectacle. And when viewed through this lens, it kicks ass. And that is such a common expression that until just now, I never really thought about how horrifying it is. Because what you're essentially saying there is that if you ignored your better self, if you just edited your mind to turn off everything that made you into a person, you would have enjoyed yourself for a short time like I did. We don't even aspire to be entertained to death. It's bleaker than that. At least that would be like a fleeting pleasure of some kind. We have foreclosed on that possibility. No pleasure is possible. We just want to be numbed. And, I hear how judgmental all of this sounds. I don't mean to judge any of you. I am judging myself. None of this is bad in and of itself, necessarily. There is some primal appeal to simply letting go of the rational and succumbing to the raw sensation of a work of art, but Is that how I truly feel about the fight scenes in the film Equilibrium? Am I appreciating the spectacle through a detached lens? Or have I simply convinced myself of that in order to enjoy a kind of dumb thing without questioning it? Do I question it? Should I question it? Would I be happier if I never questioned it? And would that be better? Bit by bit, our mass media struggles to keep pace with the shallowness of our appetites. We can no longer even create empty spectacle. We can only summon the ghosts of empty spectacles we enjoyed in the past. Works which should have been disposable, fleeting pleasures take on mythic significance through repeated illusion in lesser works. Everything is canonized. It used to be that we could have a video game about the fictional character Batman, which told a facile but serviceable story about Batman. Now our Batman video games retell the Batman stories we've already heard, remixed through an explicitly toyetic corporate design language, encouraging you to purchase LEGO brand Batman playsets in stores now. That's the difference between you and I. We both looked into the abyss, but when it looked back at me, I said, damn, actually, that LEGO Batman game does look kinda sick. I feel like I was brainwashed into liking this shit as a kid to sell me toys, and then I never got to develop emotionally into the type of adult that liked serious adult things, like driving a car or discussing the most efficient routes with which to drive a car from one location to another. I will visit Costco with my wife. I will see the price of multivitamins there, and it is very reasonable, and I feel nothing. Instead, I'm forever the type of person who will argue until they're red in the face about which writers do and do not understand the complex psychology of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's so deep, bro. One of them has an inferiority complex, and that leads him into conflict with the other one that's kind of like an authority figure. Do I even care about what little depth there actually is there? Or do I just want to see some rambunctious turtles punching faceless ninjas so that I can project myself onto that, imagining that I, too, am punching and kicking said ninjas, and in this way, I am made whole? I don't really care about interrogating these things. I don't want to be challenged. I just want to see the toy I liked as a child shown to me again and again. I would like very much to be disappointed in myself. I am Catholic after all, but how could anyone be expected to contend with this absurd state of affairs that we charitably call reality otherwise? Like, what serious adult world exists in opposition to the false childish one I've retreated to? We are governed by short-sighted, emotionally reactive, self-interested toddlers on every level. Everyone in charge of our lives is an idiot, fascist, and pedophile. I'm the asshole because I want to see the X-Men? I'm the bad guy here? Look, my taste in movies may be childish, but unlike the serious and powerful adults I'm supposed to aspire to be, my taste in sexual partner is not. It's too late for me, is my point. My media diet is mostly jangling keys. Whatever potential I may once have possessed to be a sensitive, well-rounded person was squandered in pursuit of Super Nintendo trivia. I'm just like this now? I am a cautionary tale for those of you watching at home. Heed my words, traveler. Be careful what you reward with your attention, because you're training yourself to pay attention to it. Thank you to my lovely, extremely patient patrons for supporting me on Patreon, the website that is Patreon. Thank you also for your successful liking and subscribing of this content. Many people didn't think you'd be able to do it, but I always believed in you. Little update on our stated goal of getting more subscribers than Mr. Beast this year. We are not on track. I have every confidence that the numbers are going to improve. Again, we only need about 500 million new subscribers. If you tell a friend and that friend tells a friend and that friend tells 500 million friends, we're in the clear.